Hiya, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Let's Talk. It has been, this time, actually forever. Usually I say that, but no, also, man, this thing looks weird. Sure looks very odd, but anywho, feels great, feel very soft. Anyways, hopefully you all are having an absolute spectacular 2022. But, of course, this is a series that has been just put on the back burner whenever I read a book that's cool, have some sort of life-changing event, and or want to recap a whole entire ass year. And one of them's up. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get into me just reminiscing, and hopefully you guys as well as telling me about how your year went, and all these things, but I do want to let you guys know that you guys should honestly be more or less okay, but for the week of January, for the last couple weeks of January, there is going to be no guaranteed uploads, which there's never guaranteed uploads on the channel. I just happen to keep it going. Cause anyway, no, but seriously, I think I'm going to take these last couple weeks to get ready for February, which is going to also have a bunch of games, but I'm still going to be streaming, by the way. So the only thing that's changing on the channel is that there's going to be no daily uploads. Or there was never daily uploads, but I always try to upload as much as I can, which oftentimes we only miss like once in a blue moon kind of situation. Regardless, we are still going to be streaming every more or less day. Again, we take off Wednesday and Monday. So yes, there won't be any content those days. I might try to throw a video there at some point. The reason why we're doing this is not just because Dying Light and Elden Ring are coming out, which are good enough reasons, but we're doing this because I want to start 2022 off right and with some momentum. So I actually really wanted to read these two books that I bought, and of course, you guys know me, I'll talk to you about them because I can't help it. I want to talk to people about the things I'm interested in, and express why I'm interested in them, and revel in the wonder that I think they possess, but I digress. So yeah, I wanted to start 2022 off right and read these books that I think will help me generally in life, and all those things. So again, to quickly summarize and synopsize what the hell is going to happen, essentially, for the rest of January, do not expect content. I uploaded a lot for the whole time, and I basically, I think how it ended up working out, because I just made a bunch of videos, you guys will only have like a week and a half worth of no videos being uploaded. For when I'm technically gone. I'll still be streaming almost every day, just because I will, again, just make videos, to stream, to edit, and to try to come up with valuable ideas so videos and streams can be fun and entertaining, and try to read books and self-improve and exercise on top of all that. Then yeah, nightmare. Nightmare hell, one of them needs to go. And again, January CPM is low, so that's of course the one that I chose to destroy. Now, with that being said, though, a lot of people fucked off in January. Your boy still held true to 90% of it, okay? And it's still streaming. Anyway, but ladies and gentlemen, on the topic of 2022, let's stop. Let's go backwards. Let's go to 2021. I don't think this is every year. I just think it's been the last 2 years, / mainly this year. I don't know what it is, but I literally feel like 2 months ago at most, I was making a video talking about how 2021, we survived it. We killed it. Well, no, it killed us. But anyways, we somehow managed to get through it. We managed to, in despite of the world falling apart, focused as hard as shit on improving and surviving and trying to thrive. Which was true. That did happen. I feel like time has just moved in an instant this time, and I don't know what it is, and it could be what we're about to talk about, which is me going buck wild for a whole year, just firing off. But yeah, I don't know if it's like getting older, if just you perceive time moving exponentially faster. I don't know. Probably people made a good argument for when you're a kid, you have existed for such a small amount of time that a year feels like super long because you have nothing to compare it to. Whereas if the more you go through life, the faster it seems to go by, because you have you have 25 years of experience to chew through. So we're going to break this into 2 categories, just so that we're kicking ass, taking names, and killing some time, all right? We're going to break this into what the hell I'm proud of that I accomplished in 2020, 2021. And then we are going to break it into what I'm hoping to do in 2022. And that kind of is like the opposite side of the coin. Instead of saying like, here's what I'm happy about what I did in 2021, here's what I'm miserable and fucking annoyed that I didn't do, I'm just gonna put it into 2022. Anyways, I always keep moving forward. Anyway, I'm really hoping I'm correct in this, but I could be wrong. In 2021, I hit a absolute wall, and it could have been actually in the tail end of 2020 as well. But I hit a wall, and just to be completely, that's what Let's Talk is, 100% honest, I hit a pretty big wall where I had the thought that passed by my brain that like made me feel like I can't have that reality be possible. And that thought was, what if after all of the time and all the love and all of the effort that I put into this weird dream, I guess, which is creation to some extent, to create content online, to be able to support myself financially through it, and to keep creating things and to be there for people, whether it be helping them or just making them laugh or whatever it could be. What if all of that was essentially for nothing? Which is a dark thought. It's not for nothing. You gained experience, you gained knowledge, you gained the memories you will always have, all that stuff. But to me, just the idea that even that is 0.1% right was awful. The idea that you could try, and then essentially you have nothing to show for it, which again is not true. You have plenty to show for your effort, etc. Just by you exuding effort, you show yourself that you can do things that are challenging for you and or out of your comfort zone, all that stuff. But needless to say, that is something that dominated my mental sphere for a long time and got me. I was a mess, and then I started getting after it, which is usually how it goes. But yeah, no, I was super in a bad place with that idea of like, holy shit, I need to get this to work. So I was like, okay, well, where do we start? What can I improve upon that has the most atrophy, that is the least effective, the most weak? What is the weakest part of me that I can strengthen to help me gain success in this field? And one of the things I've always hated, which makes sense, in the whole YouTube or creating content, creating things that people want to watch, consume, or enjoy, is the mechanical aspect of creation. What I mean by that is like the business analytical side of that, because in the past I tried to delve into that, like watch a bunch of those YouTube gurus, and I just felt like I got worse at what I was doing. The product I was making became worse. I ended up getting in front of people's faces, but the product I had was still not great, so it still didn't do well. And honestly, it just made everything go like slower, fail harder, all of those things. But I just by happen chance, I started saying, okay, well, that is definitely something I need to understand, is the environment, the mechanics around me. I don't know how to get too into it without it being ungodly boring, as things tend to happen for me, which is kind of absurd and probably far too lucky for this to happen to me constantly as much as it does. But happen to get a lot of like happen chance encounters that kind of threw me a really good, in my opinion, good, pure, like efficient driven course essentially online that teaches you how to market things, how to kind of understand the mechanical nature to things, and it's a good jumping off point, which I was super grateful for. And then I went back and read some books I read that changed my kind of life, and I wanted to cement them to memory because I could feel them atrophying over time. Long story short is I had an ass kicking in 2022 or 2021 where I had the realization of I do not want all of this to be for nothing. Long story short, I really want to make this succeed, and I'm willing to sacrifice however much time, I'm willing to change however much I need to. And I know that's a little bit of a worrisome statement because you're like, well, what if you don't become you? And I'm like, well, I'll always know who I am and who I have. You can always pivot back to somewhat who you be, unless you do some fucking dark ass shit. You can come back to who you are, but you should still gain the knowledge of being multiple things. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyways, also this like shirt might be the most hard to look at thing ever. Anyways, so as 2021 started to unravel and happen, I essentially set off and embarked on a quest to answer a question that I really desperately needed to know. And this is why I mentioned passively, curious to see if 2021 will be the year that made every other year easier. We'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, I set off to answer a question, how do you learn? And then I went beyond that one, and I said, okay, well, how do you become, like, masterful at something? How do you become super, super good at stuff? How do you create something incredibly good as well? And they're kind of the same thing. In order to understand or master something, you need to be good at a said skill, etc. So I just kept going further and further into that direction. And I kept reading books that kind of determined that. I share a lot of them with you guys, but mostly I did two things. I read a book that, to me, again, changed my life, which is with Winning in Mind by Lenny Basum, which is a good way to basically mentally program your brain, or mentally fix the shattered pieces in your brain that stop you from doing well. And everyone has a shit ton of those. And it's kind of how to mentally prepare and mentally train. And a lot of it, just for the books, just a good, I always advertise the book. It's made by an Olympic rifle shooter who won a shit ton of Olympic gold medals and trained a bunch of Olympic gold medal shooters in one of the most mentally taxing sports in the entire world. That's the guy who's training you how to master your mind. Pretty good source material for what you're trying to do. Anyway, so I reread that person's book, committed a lot more of it to memory, all of it this time around, and took some of the other business courses that I was also taking simultaneously and kind of melded them together. And essentially, I made, I didn't even know that I was doing it, but I made like a business, how do I put it? I made like a how to learn if you're dyslexic, probably, how to learn if you're lost, how to learn if you have no foundation possible, or how to learn if you have a bad foundation of how to learn. I looked into the neurology of the brain and how we memorize things and how your brain recalls information. I looked into all of that stuff, leveraged everything to my advantage because I'm not losing. I can't have this not work. So I made a system for myself that piggybacked off of the incredibleness of that book, that with Winning in Mind by Larry Basum, this guy who maps out how you learn. I took relevant new information that I felt I discovered, and then I found more information, and I just kept tweaking it and adding to it over time. And essentially, I made like 3 programs, and I didn't even know I was doing it, and I don't even know if they're for everybody, but they're for me. I'm not trying to sell you anything, by the way. I did want to show you guys these at some point, but now I don't know if I want to, not because of anything, but just because I basically am not sure if it makes sense to anybody, nor I don't know if I'll explain the importance of why you do what you do, because I know why it's important that you do what you do. Anyways, point being, I set off to answer this question. I read a shit ton of books, I consolidated a lot of information, and I basically found out how to learn and improve rapidly, like incredibly quickly. As a person who's always been slow, not very good, and bad with memory, all of these things, I found a way to do all of that incredibly fast, I think really well, and the thing that to me is staggering and shocking, and it's amazing how easy it is actually, but it's reformatting your brain. So what I mean by that is a lot of people have a general perception of how they are. So when you could be like, I'm a night person, and what that kind of means to you is that I am super awake and present at night, and I'm a bad morning person. I'm not a very good morning person, I'm not very awake, I feel groggy all the time, all of these things. Another person could say, I hate public speaking. Another person could say, I'm not coordinated. Another person could say, I have a fear of heights. Another person could say a bunch of things. So these mental consolidated ideas of yourself in your brain that define you in a sense. And one of those for me was that I basically have anxiety. I kept saying that to myself. I have anxiety. And one of the ways it came out in a big way was when I streamed. So at the beginning, I streamed. You guys may be laughing at this, but I have always had a ungodly amount of anxiety for streaming. But I'm also pretty good at like suffering, essentially. I'm pretty good about like, it sucks, but I think it's good for me, so I'll try it, and I'll try it for years just to see. So I've been streaming since the moment I streamed, since probably 2020 was when it started getting better. But I've been streaming for like 4 years, 5 years before that. So, and it's always been, there's good times. There's good times when somehow, some way the stars align and I'm somehow okay. And I'm calm, I'm good, but maybe in some cases I'm not exactly sharp as well. I kind of just give up and I kind of don't have any expectations. And because I give up, yes, I don't feel as anxiety driven, but also I don't execute as perfectly as I could because I'm kind of not trying anymore. I'm kind of like trying to fail so that I can just tell myself, see, we're done. We could just let go in a way. I'm just fucking, okay, the stream. Like there was a lot of Let It Die streams where I just paused and I just didn't continue doing anything. I would just sit in the waiting room basically because I was more comfortable just shooting the shit with you guys than playing and talking and all this stuff in between. Which I still am. Point being, I always had this anxiety tied to streaming. Always. But then I was like, okay, well, how do we format this? How do we improve at this? And there was a lot. It's like, how do you format this? How do you improve upon this? How do you fix yourself and your perception of this? How do you gain more skill in this? Like, what is the right thing to learn? What is the right information to understand? What is the most valuable, best bang for your buck kind of info? And why the fuck does nobody teach you how to find this? It's just like a chaotic mess. It's funny because you think the idea of options is awesome. Like there's limitless information. No, if you've ever had to come up with an idea, you know that any idea is too much. You're drowned. It's too much. You do much better if you give someone like a writing prompt. Like it's a fantasy story. It's about a female character, okay? It's supposed to be sad at points or something. Now go. Or the main character is seen through the perception of the second character, like the side character. So you're basically a glorified camera to the hero or cool events. And that's your story prompt, go. It's far easier to play with that idea because it has somewhat limitations on it, so your brain is funneled down one way. Same thing for information. Find the most valuable information you possibly can, and then consolidate it as much as you can, and try to apply it a great deal. Anywho, getting a little chaotic. But yes, just to make a long story short, I did my program, I went through it, I went through the systems, I basically don't have I'm talking nada, no anxiety attached to most things, frankly, but also in streaming, I have none. Instead, I have overabundance of joy, excitement, and I'm just, how do I put it? I feel like the best, sharpest version of me when I stream. And it's weird, same thing with the recording to some extent. But yeah, and again, it's because you go through this weird mental program that I've made, or I've went through this weird mental program that I've made. I run through it. I basically take care of each pillar, is what I always call them, pillars to basically manage your mental situation. So it's like how you feel in a given environment, how you perceive what your potential can be in an environment, what you actually do and what would help you to do. It's like acquisition of information, but then also thinking about how you would apply it. And we kind of use some of it in our Improving at Video Games Halo Try Harder series. I digress. The biggest accomplishment that I did in 2021 was I answered the question that no one ever taught me, and I always thought was a stupid thing that no one ever taught me, but it's how to learn, how you learn, why you learn the way you learn, why you should learn this way and maybe not this way, why your subconscious mind tries to cheat you out of information because it hurts to learn, and you're best to actually fight that and actually understand it, and how that you can understand how school tries to teach you but ultimately fails because of certain things like testing, and it's not about understanding information, it's just about making sure you can take a test, essentially. And not about how you can apply the information and actually know what to do with the information when you need it. And maybe you have a better school than me, but that was always my experience with a lot of school. So that was my big pooba for 2021, which I think should take me forward with just about anything else I want to learn in my entire life. I essentially made 2 programs, 3 kind of, but one of them was how to nail a process. So if you want to get better at shooting a basketball, if you want to get better at recording and commentating, It could be general, it could be super wide sphere, it could be anything. And then there's the other one is just how to learn. That's the other one. That was the other one. So how to get good at something and how to learn and then apply what you've learned and have a toolkit with what you've learned and not just have false memories in which you have no idea how to access and or apply what you've learned. Anyways, that's what I did. I might talk about those later on. Actually, I just want to talk real quick about because I don't know. I find all of this wildly interesting, but I feel entirely up against everybody else's brain and mine. So I think I have dyslexia. I think I have a really weird brain. I think I have an imagination that's on cloud 9 and everything else that's fucking kneecapped. and yeah, so the reason why I never made videos talking about this process, these systems, is because I wholeheartedly think people will be like, Grin, what? How do you learn this way? And I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, but the one thing that I do want to talk about a little bit, which I thought was always interesting, is like the 3, again, I'm sure this exists within books somewhere, but I never learned it that way. I just used the systems that I made to find information, to then consolidate it, to try to make it so that it could make its own system, so that I could get more out of what I want in this specific instance. It's complicated, it's weird, let's not get complicated. Learning, understanding, and applying, and then thriving. Those are like the 3, really. 4 is just a kind of like, good job. But the 3 that really matter is to learn something, is to gain, to look for high value information, essentially. And then to commit it, and then to actually intake it. But then understanding is really defined, in my opinion, by explaining if you can explain the instances in which it would be valuable, how you would be able to do that, to truly wrap around your head around everything. And then the third one is to apply it, to understand why you learn the way you learn, what this could be useful for, etc. What is the innovative, creative way that you could do this that maybe other people wouldn't think of? And the funniest thing is you can go forward, backwards, middle, back, forward again, doesn't matter. You could find out what you want to do in life. You could find out that, hey, I want to make some money. I think there's a good market in Instagram photo editing. So I'm going to learn how to do Photoshop editing. Okay, and I'm going to specifically specialize in whatever would make a photo prettier, better, etc. So then you'd find out, okay, I want to learn Photoshop, and then you'd find out what you'd be doing, which is essentially to be like, okay, they probably want me to do skin touch-ups, like make your whole situation, your design look better, so your skin glow, all that stuff. They'd make probably give you more features, greater booba, greater butt, whatever they'd want, and then you would reverse engineer that and say, okay, well, now I need to find out how to understand all that information, and then you would say, okay, where do I learn that information? So then you would go that way. So you'd find out where you want to go, and you work backwards, or you can work forwards and say, like, what's a valuable skill? Photoshop. And then you're like, why would that be valuable? Because in this specific instance, it could be valuable. Okay, I should aim there. And then you would learn by filtering through that thing. And again, one of the best things to me that's like the crux of all this is the middle point, understanding. And there's a bunch of cool neurology. I care about this stuff. I don't know if anyone else gives a shit. This is supposed to be like now I'm just talking about the knowledge of the brain. Anyways, but what do you call it? The reason why I think all this makes sense about learn, understand, and then explain, then apply, is you have to first find information, and then you need to commit it to memory. So a lot of things, I think school does a really good job about giving information, but I don't think it does a great job about like having you understand it. And the reason why because basically it's learn, kind of apply, but not really, and then take a test to see if you kind of get it. But you have no idea how to plug this in. And the reason why that's so bad, in my opinion, maybe some people just have a god-tier memory, but the reason why that's so bad is it goes against the neurology of the brain. The reason why you learn something is because every time you intake information or do a thing, it creates a neurological, basically, spike in the brain. So like a little neurological blip. And then when you understand something, it creates another blip. So then when you keep understanding more and more, it creates many blips. And then by applying it, it reprioritizes how you can access that said information because you're going to use it, actually. Like a great way to put it is, why do you remember video games like the back of your hand? Why do you remember TV shows like the back of your hand? And why do you remember all of this, like books? Why do you remember all of those things perfectly? Like you can run through most of the plot, you can remember a lot of the key points. It's because of how the neurology of the brain works. And the same way is, how do you remember The Grudge? Or not Grudge, The Ring. How do you remember The Ring? It's fucked up, but in horror, they kind of done the same thing where they've associated a very good image of like a girl with her hair falling down, creepy, and then TVs, which you're seeing constantly, and static. So there's this neurological pathway, and then there's understandings of other things that lead back to each other that deepen your neurological understanding of a thing, increasing your memory. That's why people always say, like, neurons that fire together wire together, and or aim for understanding and not memorization. Like, memorization is good for, like, if you're trying to build an engine, to a car engine, it's like, okay, I know that this goes here. Okay, and I know that I'm not supposed to do this. Okay, but sure. But why are you not supposed to do that? What is the red herring? Like, it's a crazy concept, but the more you ask questions, the more you actually pay attention, the more they lead back to each other, and it strengthens this system, this kind of megamycete looking as structural thing in your brain. But anyways, like, again, on the topic of the car engine, instead you would understand how something is the way it is, why it works the way it does, why if this wasn't there, what would happen that's bad, and the exact reason for these things existing, and the reason why the systems are in play in the way that they're in play, and all of those information would lead back to each other. So A doesn't just lead to B, which is memorization. A leads to B, but C also leads back to B, and D leads back to A, and C leads to fucking whatever else, and you create a web of knowledge that when you think of a thing, i.e. the ring, you think of a girl, static electricity, well, and all the shit. You can't help but think of this one thing that ignites the neurological pathway in your brain and ignites all of the shit that you have seen in media. Same thing with a TV show. You have so many instances, so many situations that were meaningful, impactful, or something that you've seen and connected with. So anyways, so godly sorry. I'm so ungodly sorry, is what I meant to say. That was a lot of my year. Was finding out about the neurology of the brain, how you learn, how to quickly learn how to understand things better, how to find value in the things that you're trying to improve upon, how to go from there, essentially, and also how to rework the emotional aspect of your brain, which is huge. That one I think is super underappreciated. And honestly, I feel like therapy is wonderful, but I wonder if that's the difference between a good therapist and a bad therapist. A good therapist would teach you the ways to rework your emotional state and to actually have them work for you. And then a bad therapist would just say, no, keep coming back to me so that we can just, I can keep this lifeline, essentially, this income bracket coming. Which I'm sure most therapists are lovely and great, but to me, I wonder about that, because I do think if you, like, this is, yeah, like, I've had a lot of shit out of whack in a lot of different ways. I would fight you hand over fist that I was not a night person, and that I was not an anxiety-prone person, which I still might be, but at least now I am full confidence that I can manage a lot of that. And I could honestly thrive in that, which is insane, because I am not that person. I'm still an introvert. That's something that no matter what I do, I cannot be tired. I cannot not be tired by being around a huge group of people, even though I'm not talking to them. I'm still just like, shit. Which to me, I'm like, okay, it's biological. That makes sense. Oh, but that was one of the other big things I did here that I'm proud of myself for doing. I actually got on a really good sleep schedule to where now I can wake up. I used to always define myself as being a person that cannot sleep. I changed that, and then I think I was going down the rabbit hole at some point where I was believing that, and this is my own fault, this is not true, your emotional perspective, like, side of your brain controls everything. It controls a lot, but not everything. One of the things I really want to make a video of like, I don't know, a great way for me that I always memorize it is make it hard to fail and easy to succeed, but never play a rigged game. That's the way I phrased it. So you want to make it hard to lose and easy to win, but you don't want to lie. You don't want to lie to yourself. You don't want to say like, hey, see, if I just do this incremental nonsense thing that gets reverted by other choices I'll make in 2 seconds, it counts. It's like, no, you're playing a rigged game. That's not how it goes. But again, in the example of if you're trying to get your sleep schedule on track and be improving at your sleep schedule, why not go to sleep? with 3 different alarms scattered around your room, so you got to do a fucking like bounce around all over the place. And why not sleep with a big ass thermos of coffee right beside you? So as soon as you wake up, you take that goddamn coffee and you get your sleep schedule on like down pat, and you have to survive for at best 3 weeks. 3 weeks of suffering. And it's really not bad. It's just the first hour is shitty, a little bit uncomfortable. First 10 minutes uncomfortable, hours a little cranky, and then you move on. Do that for 3 weeks, and if still nothing happens, you still do not accept losing. You just need to stack the deck even more. It's not like you don't have to win the fucking fight. It's just that you have to find a way to succeed. By the way, I'm talking to myself when I get ever like heated like that. I'm talking to myself of like, oh, you think you're done now? No, bitch. No, sorry. It doesn't. It's not like It's not like you won't have a job at some point in your life where you have to get up at 8 p.m. every day or 7 p.m. every day. That's a skill you need to understand how to do and and if you can, why not aim to thrive in it instead of just being like, oh yeah, I can get up at 8 or 7 p.m. Grin or a.m. Grin, but I fucking feel like I'm death. Why not find a way to not feel like death? Maybe if you got up at that exact time every day, you would feel less like death, and maybe you'd actually be able to go to sleep on time. Of course, there's a lot more there. I covered this in my how to sleep video. Anyways, I got that down now, Pat. So I nailed that one down. Good. Oh, and then the last thing I kind of mentioned, we're kind of chaos incarnate right now. Forgive me. But the other thing I mentioned was that I did a lot of business stuff. Essentially, like I looked into value creation and all these things, which I love. I learned so many amazing things. Like one of the things was, maybe we should do more Let's Talks, because I have like 1,000 things to say. Anyways, probably not. It's just too much, I know. But I looked into things like, one of the things I always thought was that like creativity is like inspiration, and it's like a gift, and it's just like something that you just kind of have an inference of an idea and then you let it go with you. It's entirely bullshit. Entirely bullshit. What happens when there's no more inspiration, idiot? What happens? You're fucked. You're nothing. You're a husk. You don't get to choose when to be creative. That's just stupid. It's just dumb. What is far better is to understand how to motivate yourself. Yeah, to just go beyond the like weird notion of like, I had an idea. Why not look for an idea? Why not understand why your ideas are good? Why not understand, if you deeply understand why the things that are good, you can use the same bones to make a whole, like to make the sum whole of a creation thing anyway, like Frankenstein. Yeah, you want to become the person that isn't at the behest of your creative mind. You want to find a way to fuel your creative mind, but also to, in the darkest times when your creative mind is just busted, understand the pillars of value, understand why people like what they like. Like an example is videos that were level up fast, gain money, money glitch, all those kinds of things. I always found myself when playing certain games, I loved those kinds of videos because it was just helpful and etc. But I was like, why are those good? And one of the things I came back with is, I think it's because, like, why those videos do well, I think is because deep down people want an advantage. Even if it's not a good idea to level up to level 100 immediately, you'll one-shot everything and it'll be super overkill. Why would you want to do that? And I think it's because deep down in human beings' brains, you want to gain an advantage. You want to be a little bit of ahead. You want to be at the world to be at the behest of you. Which I think is totally a fair thing. You want an advantage. Who doesn't want an advantage? Especially when playing a game like this, a game that in a lot of ways is hyper against you. Anyways, so I was like, okay, if I have that idea that, okay, people want to gain an advantage, and that's why some of these videos are good, okay, or like why people like them and are drawn to them, okay, so now I can take that idea to gain an advantage, and now, again, like I said, when you actually box yourself in, you have more ideas. It's easier to create something. When you have the world at your fingertips, you get smothered. So the idea of being able to create this one thing through a mechanical breakdown of understanding of value and ideas, you can be much better off. And also, you'll gain a stupid good web of knowledge about how to create things. Anyways, we're getting a little stuck in La La Land. Oh, this is a side thing. Like I talked about with my sleeping stuff, I made a big improvement on health. I feel like I got way more energy. I also got on a thyroid medication because apparently that was what was kicking my ass. I also made a lot of improvements in sleep. But the other thing is I made a lot of improvements on physical health. So I was able to like lift more kettlebells, swing them for longer. I have a slam ball that's 30 pounds, and I want to get a 60-pound one. And that's fun. That's a whole nother shtick. I got weird muscles in my backfire, and I didn't know I had. Oh, also, this is something that I kind of want to mention a little bit. I do not know how depressed I would be without exercise. It's not for what you think. It's not because of dopamine release. I'm sure that's a part of it. Sure, 100%. Go team. But I think that anybody who is in a position in which they cannot control the success of their outcome 100-fold should work out. The reason why is because I think I've talked to you guys about this beforehand. Working out is actually like manageable for growth. So as long as you show up and as long as you're pushing yourself, even if you're pushing yourself just a little bit, you're still growing. And to me, as a person who like I would consider like success in a lot of sense is to create something that I think people engage with and is valuable with. The only way I can explain it is like this. The variable of success on YouTube is a little offset and a little bit out of my control. To some extent, it's a percentage game. You can do more things to increase the odds of you getting what you want and flipping the coin on the right chance of getting what you want. But it's not 100%. So that's a weird thing to have your success or validation tied to at all. Especially with the validation of others, people can be mean. But the success of working out, it's pretty, as long as you show up, you're improving a little bit. You can literally show that to your brain and say, hey, I am growing, I am succeeding, I am doing better, So your brain actually can't lie. Like sometimes you may feel like a failure, like you're trying, nothing was working out. But luckily, working out has this thing of being like, hey, you're still growing and improving, so you have the potential to grow and improve. You can do it at this, who's to say you can't do it in other things? Don't lose heart, keep going, that kind of thing. So I don't know where I'd be without the whole fitness thing, just because of that mental clarity aspect. You might be failing a lot of things in your life, but this thing to me has always given me something. Whether it's just like the feeling of feeling more energized, so I can tackle more things, or just the idea of being able to feel like I'm succeeding in something, which maybe is sad, but it's 100% true. I would highly advise exercise beyond most reasons. Conquered my fear of streaming and anxiety with my weird program. Okay, so this was the other thing. I think I found maybe, I think I found an answer to a question that I never knew I had, but I always was fighting with. A little bit dramatic, but hear me out. So one of the things that I desperately want is to feel like a whole person, like a whole person. And one of the things I've always felt like I don't know, you love yourself, sure, that's a part of it, and all these things, but to me, I never really found what exactly that means, like, and how you exactly go about it. Like, yes, you improve, you try, but what do you try at, and how do you go about it? Even with my system I made, this was still one of the weird ones that I couldn't really answer. But luckily, holy shit, at the same time, all around me, I seen, like, there's a lot of cancellations that happened in 2020 and 2021. Maybe some deserved, but Jesus Christ, some that just seem like people being flawed human beings that make mistakes, and then people saying, fuck you, die. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Or even just seeing content creators that I not look up to, but content creators that I see in my peripheral, and who are really I can tell that the hate is hitting them. And they've always been a person that said that, like, they could handle the hate. Honestly, I thought they could handle the hate, some of these content creators that I've seen. Thought they were very thick-skinned, a little abrasive, and I was like, yeah, you could totally handle the heat. But then lo and behold, no. Sometimes the heat, rightfully so, is too damn hot. Other times, it just seems like weird how this thing is getting through. Sometimes they're justified to me, other times it's not at all justified. It seems weird that how things get through. Human emotions are flawed, all these things are not flawed, but human emotions can be perceived, and this tiny thing can be perceived hugely, just depending on circumstance, all that. But essentially, the one thing that I found is I wanted to answer that question for me. I said, how the hell can I do this? If this is my chosen fucking ass-beating field or business that I'm trying to pursue, which is essentially to create content online, to provide value, and to maybe make people happy. Well, hopefully to make people happy, but the value thing is the main poopa. How the hell do I survive? Because what happens if everybody shit on me? Like, what happens, or not even just shit on me, what happens if everyone was just cruel? And what happens, like, and I know I'm somewhat vulnerable to this. I know that when, like, certain people, how do I put it? I feel like when certain people give me, like, judge me on something that I know is not correct, it bothers me. So if someone says, like, you're a piece of shit, or you're stumpy, or whatever the hell, you're whatever, they can throw a bunch of shit at me. It's not as negative as when someone says, like I think one person came into my chat at some point, I can't remember, but accused me about being that I was somehow rude to, like, transgender, I was homophobic or something like that. And to me, that a little annoying, because I'm much more of the, like, I don't care what you do, just leave me alone. It's my whole shtick. So to me, when someone tells me that I believe something that I don't believe, it's frustrating. Because yeah, you're like, well, wait, like, at least hate me for something that I actually believe. I actually am an asshole in or something. But yeah, so when someone gives you a value that you don't hold, it's frustrating, and then they kind of, like, say fuck you, and they run away, and I'm sure that's a way to kind of bait people out in some way. That one gets me to feel, like, anxious and, like, wants to quickly fight or something like that. And one of the things I'm super like, vulnerable to is when somebody says that I've done harm. So when someone says, like, I hurt them really badly, I don't want to hurt people, so then I kind of collapse. But then I also destroy my identity of self because I didn't do the thing that they're accusing me to do. So my identity of who I am and myself takes the, like, emotional hit without actually being responsible for the emotional hit. And therefore it's like I have two people. One person that has his own beliefs and does what he does and tries to live right by his beliefs and ideals and ambitions and desires. And then I have the idea that someone gives me of myself. And because I don't want to hurt people, and because the people are entitled to their emotions, I almost feel like, oh shit, I did something wrong, you're right. And then this weird version of myself who apparently did bad, even though I know I didn't do bad, starts consuming this part of me. And it's almost like I fold, and then this fucked up version of me starts atrophying my actual version of me. And it feels horrific. It feels like I'm combating myself with, like, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to make people feel horrible, because I've been in that place. That's why I don't like to hurt people. But at the same time, I didn't hurt you. You fucking hurt you. Whatever you let yourself get eaten by is still eating you, and you're saying that I'm somehow a part of that, and see, that's what I start getting, like, super, like, well, wait, no, don't take this, don't carry this. This is not your weight to carry me. Drop it. And then, but my stupid other self was like, if someone's in pain, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, no. I'm all for people being, like, not in pain, but you can't hold this. You'll just die, you'll crumble, your idea of who your ideals will get smothered by this perception of what your ideals should be. Fuck those person's ideals. If they got hurt, fuck them. To me, it goes down that path of, like, it's like just two parts of yourself ripping each other to shreds, and none of them are yin and yang. They're everything. They're exactly black and they're exactly white, and there's no little dot in between. They are gray, all gray. Both good, both bad. I understand both perceptions. Anyways, so after having dealt with this on occasion, my anxiety was fine, but this still ripped me up. I could tell this made me, like, emotional and not good. So I was like, how do I solve this question of how would you survive being canceled? How would you survive people shitting on your identity of self? How do you become a whole person who is uninhibited by others' perception of you? And the one thing that I came up with, which I thought was brutal, and I was worried to tell people about it because I was worried they wouldn't hear my whole thought process. And my thought process is this. Say if you were in a world, and some would say this is our actual world, where you would eventually have nobody. The people that you love most in the world will unfortunately age and pass away and die. Your mother and father, I'm not trying to make you just horribly sad, but eventually you will be alone in the world. And say you had the best friend in the world. Say they go through something horrible, you don't know about it, they lash out at you, and your best friend just is ripping you apart for no reason. Maybe you have a career where 1,000 million people would be watching you, and each one of them saying horrific, horrible things. And yeah, you may get thick skin, but sooner or later, one of their comments, one of the things that somebody mentions is going to get through that thick skin of yours. So how do you survive in the whole world if you had the worst case scenario, the absolute worst case scenario, where every single person you loved, your parents, your friends, everybody hated you, was tearing you down, and just ripping you to shreds. Now, we're not going to talk about if you deserve it or not. That's not what we're talking about. Say if you were in this bad situation, what would be the one thing that would still remain? If everybody was against you, every single person, no matter how much they love you, for whatever reason, maybe with deep fake technology, you can become a monster real fast. Maybe some of them believed it. People you look up most in the world. What if everyone hated you, just rip you to shreds? What would you still have at the end of that day? My conclusion would be you'd still have you. Now, I know, some people are saying, whoa, wait. Now we're getting real egotistical, Grin. But wait. Say if we build off of that idea, that super, super selfish idea of if the last person you had in this world that you could count on and that you could guarantee have is you. How would you look at yourself? This one person, the self, the you, how would you treat you? If at the end of the day, this person, this you, this self, is the only person you can count on to be there when everyone else is tearing you up, what should you aim to be and or have this person be to you? What would it be? To me, the answer is, if I knew that I'd always have this idea of self, this other, I would be the best friend I possibly could, because at the end of the day, if every one of my friends shit on me, I'd still have this friend. I would also try to love myself so deeply, because even if the people I love most in the world, my parents, my brothers, my wife, my whatever, my kids, all hated me, I would still have this version of myself who would love me. So I would try to love it, and also try to, because by loving it, I am loving me, and it's a self-proclaiming prophecy, essentially. And you are it, by the way. Just trying to make this a little bit more make sense. But then if you go a step further, if you go beyond even that, you'd say, okay, well, I'd want this self to be the best friend I could ever have, to be the most supportive friend I could ever have. I would want this to be the best parent that always says the right thing. I'd want this person to be the best coach that motivates me to hell and back. I'd want this to be the best lover, the best partner that is the most supportive and takes care of me and gives me what I need in life, that supports me. I would go beyond all of those things, and I would try to be a good listener to that person. I would try to be understanding of that person. I'd also try to kick that person's ass when they do wrong and try to make them the best kind of person I possibly could. I'd be the best father to the child that is this person as well. I'd be the best son to this father as well. You'd be the best of everything. And in that weird selfish idea of the only person I'd have is me, and then trying to be all that you can be whole for that one person, that thing that will always be there, now you have a key to success, kind of more or less, to be that for other people. You know how to be a good friend because you felt what it feels like to be a good friend. You know what it is to be a good parent because you've thought about how you would react and how you would do and how you would support said child, aka you, if you were in the parental role, etc. This would be the best. You'd understand how to be a good student because you've understood what it is to be a good teacher and how you would teach and how you would be a good student. And you would know how to do the thing that you are trying to ask of others. And it's a web that completes itself almost. And that, to me, would be how you become a whole person. And also be a person that could handle the criticism and hatred of others. Is to understand so deeply about what you truly are. To be all things to yourself. So that you, at all points in your life, have those things. And it's funny because the idea is, this idea would be egotistical and and corruptive and lonesome for a lot of its thought experiment. But until you realize in order to love somebody else, you need to have felt what it is to be loved. So that is a thing that leads you into how to actually be for another person. To become a whole person, to be all that you can be for another, is to be all that you can be for yourself and to understand yourself. And if you can be all that you can be, then you can be there for another. And it's funny because it's like the most selfish thing you could possibly say is the idea of like, well, I'll always have me. A little cringy, honestly. I'll always have me. Fuck you. Good. But at the same time, yeah, you will always have you. So why not try to be all that you can be for yourself, to try to be the most supportive friend? And sure as shit, you should realize how to be that. And only when you have felt that, and maybe you're lucky enough to have been graced by some actual good friends in your life, some actual good parents, maybe a good moment even on the less end of the side of luck. You've had a little bit of good friends. You've had one or two encounters that made you feel good, and then the rest not great. Well, focus on those two and why those were so good, and why you should be that for yourself, and how you could be that for another. Because if you can be that for yourself, why the fuck can't you be that for another? And that to me is, at the end of the day, if you always have you don't have to let others make up a whole part of you. It's almost like in order to truly be whole, in order to truly love yourself, the journey of life is always going to have one person by your side that will never get taken from you. That's you. That doesn't mean shut everybody out. Hell no. That means show everyone the love that you felt from this person to everybody. Yeah. Like, I don't think the idea that, like, it's not supposed to isolate you. It's supposed to make you whole. The idea that you always have you. And to not just take that as like, I always have me, so fuck everybody else. It's like, no, I always have me, and I know I can be all that I can be for me, so why the fuck would I not take the opportunity to be all that I can be for others? It's taking nothing, because I always have this person. I can give as much as I possibly want, because at the end of the day, I don't need anything that you're giving me, because I always have this. And that's, to me, a wonderful thing. And then if anything good is coming in, great. I'm just doubling up. It's not like you have to take one or the other. So to me, in that weird thought process, that's how I think you become whole, is to think about, to reflect on, how would you be a good coach to yourself? So what is it to be a good coach, and how would I go about being a good coach? And then to understand that by you thinking about that, by you understanding what you would do and why you would do it, would therefore give you the toolkit to be that for yourself. But alas, ladies and gentlemen, as it tends to go, these are far too long. And that was my one question I answered this year. So, summarize all the things we did really quick. Showed myself that I could rework my brain and make a toolkit for how to learn and how to get good at skills. And how to get good at anything, really. But how to learn was a big one. How to learn, understand, keep relevant information for use in whatever you desire. To not aim for memorization, but instead greater understanding, and then going beyond applying, kind of going beyond your teachers in a way. Anyways, and then answering that weird, super weird question of how would you survive being canceled, getting hella criticized, being told that your identity of self and what matters to you and your desires and your ambition, that's not who you actually are, and you're this, because I think you're this, and how to say, that's fine. I know who I am. I have the best parent, the best friend, the best brother, the best support system I could ever want. Because that's me. That's me. And maybe that sounds super selfish, but only because I am those things for me, and I'll take every opportunity to learn and become better at being those things. Could I be that for another? And yeah. So that was the recap of I learned how. So to me, I'm hoping that 2021 was the year in which I understood how to make every following year better. Because of that, and also because how to learn and also how to get good at skills. And also, I Rambo'd this whole year. I just fucking full clip, I think that's why I went by so fast. I was reading books, I was trying to create new content, I was taking programs and courses on business and applying some of the things, a lot of the things into my YouTube stuff, and I was actually able to see a huge benefit when I applied them. But then I kind of started to like get into the weird learning sphere and kind of let some of it atrophy. I need to go back and relearn some of the things. But anyways, recap over. 2021, hell of a year. 2022, however, what's that? Well, to be honest, I just would like to keep improving. I think that's one of the things that I don't know, I find solace in, is that you can't control everything, but I can control whether what I make define me in a way, what I make actually resonate, and how I can actually keep building on top of things. And I don't know, I find a great deal of peace and serenity in that. But I do want to try, like, as far as actual goals and not just woo-woo, what do you call it? I do want to actually look into finishing these 2 books I read, because a lot of what they are is how to disrupt or innovate in a way, how to see opportunity in everything, and how to go beyond all that stuff. And I'm hoping that I can make this year something special. I don't know if I will. We've been at this for a long time. But let's see. I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to try to do what I did this year. Again, see if I can survive another year of just gutting it. Fingers crossed. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. By the way, I will be turning 25 at some point. I don't think I'll make a video talking about it, because this is kind of, unfortunately, my birthday. Similar. I'm not gonna give it. It's maybe right around New Year's. But yes. Yeah, I don't know. To me, I think I covered most of the things. Again, basically, goal for 2022. I just want to shoot for the stars and hope I get the moon, at the very least. And we got a lot of awesome opportunities coming up. We got Dying Light coming out. That's super exciting. We got Elden Ring coming up. That's super exciting. We're streaming constantly now. I didn't really mention why that was such a big thing. I just told you guys that I had anxiety with streaming. I used to stream 2 days a week, and it was crazy for me. I was super exhausted, 3 days a week, and I was super exhausted because of the anxiety, and it was a nightmare. But I loved it, but it was like, emotionally it was taxing. Not like it was bad, it was just emotionally taxing. But anyways, we conquered it, point being. I think we're thriving now. Now I just need to make my streams more topical and actually interesting, like content itself, rather than just being like, I want to hang out and play games with you, which is the next big step. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you will let me try to and do entertain you guys and just be there for as much as you'll let me, and I'll push that to the absolute limit if I have to. But ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your year. And thank you for listening to me ramble. I know it's a lot. Not sure if many people get a lot out of this, but I would love to hear what your year also had in store for you. I hope not too much tragedy or pain. I know it was rough for a lot of people, but I dearly hope you are okay. And I hope, again, I can see you again. This will be it, I think, for the end of January. The last video probably will guarantee upload. And everything after this point will be bonus. And I don't think I'll go too cute with it and keep uploading more. Well, no, Gone U's coming out, so maybe. We'll see. Probably. We'll see. Thank you so much for your time, and goodbye.